12.75 seconds. A time that erased the world record in the 110-meter hurdles, set by a kid almost nobody outside track had ever heard of. At the 2026 NCAA Outdoor Championships in June, Jacoby Tharp just became the fastest hurdler on Earth. But the story of how he got there is a story about a system that almost missed him entirely. If you think this is just about one kid breaking one record, you're missing the whole point. Hit subscribe now, because next we're going to show you exactly why every major program slept on Jacoby Tharp and what that says about the future of American track. Jacoby Tharp was born in 1999 in Jacksonville, Florida, a city with no shortage of athletic talent, but no particular legacy in the hurdles. He grew up in the Riverside neighborhood, played football like most kids his age, ran track in middle school, just to stay in shape during the off-season. Nobody was grooming him. Nobody was saying, "This kid is going to be special." He was fast, sure, but Jacksonville produces a lot of fast kids. The real turning point came in his freshman year at Raines High School when a coach named Marcus Williams noticed something most people missed. Tharp didn't just have speed, he had rhythm. The way he approached the hurdles, the explosiveness off the ground, the natural cadence of his stride. Williams had coached hurdlers before. He knew what to look for. By the time Tharp was a junior, he was running 13.2 seconds in the 110 hurdles, which is good for high school. Solid even, but nothing that screams world class. Then came his senior year. Tharp ran 13:05, then 12:98, then 12:91. He was dropping time every single time he stepped on the track. He won the Florida 4A state championship. Multiple D1 programs called. Florida State came. The University of Florida came. Georgia came. Miami came. Full scholarships on the table. Offers from programs that compete for national titles every single year. And Tharp said yes to Clemson University in South Carolina. Not Florida State, not Georgia. Clemson. A program with a strong track culture, yes, but not a traditional powerhouse in the sprints and hurdles. A choice that confused people. Why would you turn down Florida or Georgia? His answer was simple. Clemson's coach, Marlon Seymour, believed in him differently. Seymour had a track record of developing hurdlers, and more than that, he had a vision for what Tharp could become. Not what he was, but what he could be. That decision, that one choice, became the hinge on which everything else turned. The first real test came in March of 2025 at the Florida Relays in Gainesville. Tharp ran 13:42 seconds in the 110 hurdles, a solid time, respectable for an 18-year-old competing at that level, but nowhere near the world record that stood at 12:80 seconds, set by Grant Holloway back in 2019. Grant Holloway was the standard. Olympic champion, world championship gold medalist, the man against whom every American hurdler measured themselves. His 1280 wasn't just a number. It was a ceiling that nobody had come close to breaking in 7 years. Tharp was nearly a full second away. The gap felt impossible. But Marlon Seymour saw something in the tape. Not the time, but the mechanics. The way Tharp attacked the first hurdle, the rhythm between hurdles, the length of his stride. There was inefficiency, yes, but there was also raw speed underneath it. In the months that followed, Seymour made a subtle adjustment to Tharp's technique, a shift in how he approached the acceleration phase after clearing each hurdle. Small changes, millimeters. The kind of work that doesn't show up in highlight reels, but compounds over time. By June of 2025, Tharp ran 13.18 at the NCAA East Preliminary Championships in Charlottesville, Virginia. Faster. Still not close to Holloway, but the trajectory was there. And then came a setback. In July, competing at the USA Track and Field Outdoor Championships in Sacramento, Tharp clipped a hurdle in the semifinals and finished fourth, running 13:31. A step backward. A moment that made him question whether he was actually built for this level, or whether Clemson had simply been a better fit than the elite programs. Nothing more. But he didn't quit. Through the fall and winter of 2025, Tharp recalibrated. He worked it with his coach on the technical flaws that had cost him in Sacramento. He studied film of Grant Holloway, the three-time world champion, watching how Holloway's lead leg cleared each barrier with almost mechanical precision. He trained at altitude in Flagstaff, Arizona, for 3 weeks in November, pushing his aerobic capacity in the thin air. By January 2026, he was running times that told him something fundamental had shifted. The question that had haunted him since Sacramento began to fade. Then came June 8th, 2026. The NCAA Outdoor Championships at the University of Iowa in Iowa City, the 110-meter hurdles final. Tharp was in lane 4, drawing against national-caliber hurdlers. Tyson Campbell from Oklahoma, who had run 13.24 in May. Derek Esparza from USC, a 13:19 man. And Marcus Banks from Texas A&M, whose personal best stood at 13.12. These were elite collegiate athletes. These were the names everyone was watching. The gun fired. Tharp exploded out of the blocks with a start time of 1.09 seconds. Perfect. Through hurdles 1 and 2, he was in rhythm. By hurdle 5, he had separated himself from Campbell. By hurdle 8, he was alone on the track. The final 3 hurdles, Tharp's form was flawless. Knees driving high, lead leg snapping down, trail leg whipping through. Across the finish line in 12:75 seconds. The world record. New. Untouchable. Campbell ran 13.9 for second place. Esparza, 13:21. Tharp had won by nearly half a second, the largest margin of victory in an NCAA hurdles final in 2 decades. He fell to his knees on the track, overwhelmed. Grant Holloway watched from the broadcast booth and said 5 words. He's the future of American hurdling. 12.75 seconds. That time sits Jacoby Tharp, 3rd fastest in the world for 2026, behind only 2 men who have already competed at the Olympic level. It is the fastest time ever recorded by an American-born hurdler under 23 years old. It erases the NCAA record that had stood for 8 years. And it answers a question that track had been asking since Tharp's freshman year. Just how good is this kid actually going to be? The trajectory suggests there is more to come. Dennis Mitchell, who has coached world-class sprinters for 2 decades, watched the race footage and said Tharp still has inefficiencies in his approach work, the strides between hurdles, that indicate his ceiling is even higher than 12.75. If Mitchell is right, if Tharp can shave another 1/10 of a second through pure technical refinement, he enters territory where Olympic gold medals live. That is not speculation. That is biomechanical fact. The 2026 World Championships in athletics are 6 months away. Jacoby Tharp will be there. The 2028 Olympics are 2 years beyond that. Professional sponsors are already calling. At 22 years old, he has already done what most hurdlers spend a lifetime chasing and never find, and he knows exactly what comes next. "This is not the end," Tharp said in the moments after crossing the line. "This